Hi guys, so after watching Andy Ruiz's spar with Evander Holyfield again, it's the first time I've watched it since he fought Anthony Joshua. But if you watch that sparring, there are some similarities in the sparring session between Andy Ruiz Jr. and Evander Holyfield to the fight between Andy Ruiz Jr. and Anthony Joshua. And you can see a pattern emerging from Andy Ruiz Jr. He often gets outboxed early in the round, but despite this, he demands center ring, and he jabs to the head and to the body, and he seems to work those body shots later on in the rounds, when fatigue probably sets in to the taller, bigger guy. And early on in the round, you can see him leaning from left to right, just looking for an opening, looking where he can get his combos away, finding an angle for his punches. He's not very tense, he's very loose and very relaxed, which means he is relaxed and it doesn't seem to zap as much energy if you are throwing loose shots as opposed to throwing shots when you are tensed. So Andy Ruiz Jr. does throw those loose hooks very well, and he seems to try and figure out his opponent, maybe walk them down for the first half of the round, and then in the second half, he starts to take over. He works hard to the body and he starts throwing those combinations that Evander Holyfield was even struggling with. And obviously that was causing Anthony Joshua a lot of problems. So similarly to the sparring session with Holyfield, Anthony Joshua was outboxing Andy Ruiz Jr. in those first two rounds, early on in the round. But then Ruiz always came on strong in the later half of the rounds, jabbing up and down, to the head and to the body, and then starting to work to the body, and he was always busier going into the later half of the round. So that seems to be a model for Andy Ruiz Jr. Allow his opponents to outbox him in the early half of the round, but demand center ring and make sure that he is working to the body to slow his opponents down, especially later on in the round, when possibly because he is taking center ring and the other fighter, in this case Evander Holyfield and Anthony Joshua, were working around the outside and moving to the side, then they are using a lot more energy than Andy Ruiz Jr. is. So working to the body, after them doing 2 minutes of that, zaps a lot more energy and slows the fighter down so that he can start working those combinations upstairs. It was interesting to see Andy Ruiz Jr. spar Evander Holyfield because, as I said, there were a lot of similarities between that sparring session and the first two rounds against Anthony Joshua. If you watch them both side by side, then you would see how similar they are. Obviously, Andy Ruiz Jr. was getting outboxed in the early round against Anthony Joshua in the first two rounds, but he always came on strong in the later half of the round, much as he did when he was sparring Evander Holyfield. Now guys, I'll leave a link in the description so you can go over and watch Andy Ruiz Jr. spar Evander Holyfield, and he does hold his own, and you can see he was never a fighter to be underestimated. But anyway guys, what are your thoughts on this, Andy Ruiz Jr.'s similarities to the Evander Holyfield spar and the Anthony Joshua fight? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, click the thumbs up, and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.